Hello, and welcome to the Sittin' and Knitting podcast. My name is Dianna. You can also find me as His Handmade on Ravelry, His Handmade in Instagram, and His Handmade One on Twitter. Today is Thursday, February 13th, 2014, and I am so thankful that you're joining me. I am still a little rusty getting back into the podcaster chair because I haven't podcasted for quite some time, since probably October. So my setup is a little different, and so I appreciate you bearing with me as I learn the ropes again. I know my last podcast seemed maybe a little rushed, and I apologize for that, but we will get back into our normal routine soon, I hope. So right now, I am going to turn it over to Journey. We are using a different format to record on, as I said in my previous podcast. So I'm not sure how to edit and move clips around and different things like that. So I wanted to go ahead and start with an introduction. And Journey is going to a sleepover tonight, so she won't be here when I record my regular segments. So I'm going to go ahead and let her sit in here, slip in here, and show you what she's knitting on. I'm trying to think if there's any housekeeping notes that I need to give you. If there's anything else I need to give you, I'll give it to you as the podcast continues. But I just wanted to open and let you know that this is the Sittin' and Knitting podcast, and I believe we're on episode 26, and we'll let Journey jump in here.
Hello everyone, and I'm Dianna on the Sittin' and Knitting podcast. So for this week on knitting, I only have one project, and it is the Easy and Simple Shawl. I found it on Ravelry, and right now I have 103 stitches, and I am using size 11 knitting needles. And I love working on this. It's so easy. See, it's so easy. It's simple, and it's so much fun to work on. I have to finish it by May or April to take to convention with me. Last year I took a baby sweater, and this year I decided to do something different to take. So this is what I'm going to be taking. The name of the project is the Easy and Simple Shawl. I found it on Ravelry, and I think I put it on my Ravelry page. So far, I have 115 stitches last time I counted, which was yesterday when I was knitting all day up. So yeah, you can't see the whole thing, and it's always curling up at the bottom, which is very annoying. And these needles, it's so pretty. It's soft and pretty. And these needles are always curling, which is annoying. But then I have that going down the middle, the braid. And they are turning out different shapes. But I'm hoping once I block it, I can try to block them all the same. And here's this side. And so I'm going to be knitting this and taking this to Regional Student Convention this year in Indiana with our school. And the yarn I'm using, I don't know what kind, because I found it in my mom's knitting box upstairs. So it's soft, it's pretty, it's a blue, if you can see. Hi. Welcome to Justice Court part of the podcast. I only have one project that I've been working on. It's a baby sweater for a regional convention. It's actually a variety of the 5-hour baby sweater, but it's taking me way longer. See, I'm almost done with it though, for real. like I'm about to separate for the sleeves. And my mom's gonna help me with that because this is like actually my first sweater that I've ever made. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Last year I entered a shawl and I won 3rd place. Anyway, I won 3rd place last year, and for my shawl. And this year I'm entering this, which I am so excuse me, which I'm so excited about. I don't have the pattern here with me. I forgot it. Oh yeah, I do. Just a minute. Yeah, I have the pattern right here. It is called the Seamless Yoke Baby Sweater. My mom has a stash of patterns, and I just went upstairs and I found this in her pattern thing. See? And I'm really excited about it. It's a 3-page pattern, and I'm like on the 2nd page. Let's see. This row right here. No, this row. This row. Yep, so that's it for my part. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to finish it. Bye.
So I'm back, and it's very good to have the girls knitting again. I will be here in the next few minutes helping Justice to separate the body of her sweater and put the sleeves on holders and continue down the body. And then later on I'll show her how to pick up the sleeves. And you do know how to do magic loop, don't you, Justice?
Yes.
And so she wanted me to let you know that the yarn she is using is Burnett Baby, the Jackards, where it has the different marled yarns, and this is the Easter basket colorway. And so that is what she's doing her baby sweater in. I wanted to go ahead and sit down while we had the time and show you what I've been working on. So after we recorded Sunday, I got bee in my bonnet, I guess, and decided that I knew that this baby shower was coming up, and I've known about it for about a month, and I've gone back and forth about whether I wanted to knit something for it or not. It's a new friend, and you know, she's a very sweet person. I'm not sure how she would, you know, if she's knit worthy, as they say, but it's just, you know, when you knit and give gifts away, you want them to be used and taken care of, but it's also, for me, it's an expression of love. And so I decided I did want to go ahead and knit a baby sweater for her. I also have to admit that I was feeling a little selfish and was really enjoying working on my own sweater and didn't know if I wanted to take the time to knit for her. So I did take the time, and I think it was Sunday or Monday. Excuse me. I'll be done in a minute. I think it was Sunday or Sunday that I cast on for the 5-hour baby surprise jacket. And I've had this pattern. I've been knitting for about 9 years, and I heard about Elizabeth Zimmerman as soon as I started knitting. Knitting Without Tears was one of the first knitting books that I picked up from the library when I learned to knit. And if you haven't gone back through the previous episodes, I'm a self-taught knitter, and I learned from Knitting for Dummies and The Idiot's Guide to Knitting and Crocheting. And back before Ravelry, there were Yahoo groups, and so the Knit List was a big group, and there was a couple of little other smaller knitting lists that I was on, and I had heard about Elizabeth Zimmerman, and at that time, the 5-hour baby sweater, I wanted to knit it, but then it sounded, I think people were overcomplicating it now that I've knitted it, or maybe it was just because I was a new knitter. I mean, it's just a garter stitch sweater. It sounded complicated to me, mitering it and placing the markers and increasing and decreasing at the markers. And I know, like, she wanted you to do the make one increase, and at that time I wasn't really comfortable as a new knitter with the make one increase, and my favorite increase was the bar increase, and I didn't really know how to incorporate the bar increase instead of the make one, and just all kinds of things. I wanted to knit it, but I didn't. It sounded really complicated to me, and then having to seam up the arms. At that time I was all about non-seaming, and so I didn't knit it, and I have had this pattern for about 9 years. So when I pulled it out, I have variations of the pattern that I printed out. I did purchase the pattern from Schoolhouse Press, and I'll just show you this much of it. I did purchase the pattern from Schoolhouse Press, but there was also from the knit list, I have a preemie version pattern. I see that there was a spreadsheet that someone shared, and the copyright of this is 2001. I learned to knit in the fall of 2004. And so I think I have the date. I thought I had the date of when I printed this out. But anyway, I've had it for a long time. And this spreadsheet broke everything up. I'll just show you real quick. Broke everything up row by row. So I went through and counted how many rows and divided it by the number of days to the shower. The shower is this Saturday, and I believe, I needed to do 13 rows a day to get it done. As I started working on it, I was really enjoying it, and I did put on my Ravelry page, my progress every day. But it ended up that the spreadsheet is a little off. I don't know how she even did this spreadsheet and how it could be copywritten, and how could she copy the pattern and have it available. I don't remember how I downloaded it, and I don't know if it was only available to people who had the pattern. I can't remember. But anyway, when I got about 40 or 50 rows into it, the spreadsheet was different from the pattern. And I ended up just going by the pattern that I got from Schoolhouse Press, and it's several pages of the pattern. I think I can show you this part of the pattern. And in this pattern, it also has the child surprise jacket and the adult surprise jacket. And it's a very nice booklet. And so, it was not that hard. I ended up, this pattern, at the time that I wanted to knit it, I don't think that Schoolhouse Press had written the pattern out like this. They had written it, it was still written like Elizabeth Zimmerman wrote it in her pithy notes in the book. So with the row by row, it really helped me, and I just zoomed through it, and I ended up completing it earlier. So without further ado, I knit this out of Barocco Vintage. This is the yarn that I had used for my February lady sweater, and I had some left over, and it is a washable, machine washable blend, and I believe it is wool and acrylic. It is 50% acrylic, 40% wool, and 10% nylon. When I started knitting this, I remember that I know a lot of people like Barocco Vintage, but I don't really like it. I think it's splitty. But, so I didn't enjoy knitting it for my February lady sweater, but it was okay. It was okay. And this is in the Mochi colorway, Vintage Mochi, which is 5101. And it's a very beautiful classic colorway. So, I finished the sweater. And I loved it. It was so fun, and it is a surprise, because I think she calls it a baby surprise jacket, because when you're knitting it, it doesn't really look like you're knitting a sweater. And the whole time I was knitting it and following the directions, I have not done a lot of mitered projects, so I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just following the directions, and it did not look like a sweater to me. Even when I cast off, it didn't look like a sweater to me. And it took me about 10 minutes to figure out how to fold it. And when I finally figured out how to fold it, and then I sewed the sleeve seams, and here it is. So I have not put buttons on it yet. The way the pattern is written, you have buttonholes on either side. what I think I'm going to do is give her the sweater. She does not know what she's having. They decided they wanted it to be a surprise, and give her the buttons and tell her that when she has the baby, that to give the sweater back to me and I'll sew the buttons on for her. I don't think she's a crafty person. These are the buttons I got for a girl. So I think these will be really cute if it's a girl. And I did not bring the buttons in here that I got for a boy, but they're red buttons. I think I'm going to choose something else because I think they're a little too big. I'm sorry I forgot to bring them. But today is Thursday and I need to have this all done by Saturday. I have not washed or blocked it yet. So I will be giving this to her. And it was a fun knit, and I want to knit more, and I want to knit one for both of my boys' child surprise jackets, and I want to knit myself one, and I'm usually not a big garter stitch person, and but it was fun. So to go along with it, I decided to knit the barley hat, and it's a free pattern by Tin Can Knits. You can go to her website. I found it through Ravelry. And she has a Learn to Knit series, and I had heard someone else talking about it. I believe it's Kim from Craft Stash was talking about it, where she has hats and scarves, and I even believe she has a sock pattern and a cowl pattern. Excuse me for reaching. That is free, and it teaches you. They're easy Learn to Knit patterns. And I was looking for a pattern for worsted weight yarn that had a little bit of a hat pattern for a child, a newborn, that had garter stitch in it because I wanted it to match the baby surprise jacket. I didn't just want a stockinette stitch hat. I don't have the pattern in front of me because I'm looking at it using my iPad. I didn't print it out. But this is the barley hat, and it comes in size newborn to adult male, I believe. And I'm knitting it out of Barocco Vintage. And it is really a stockinette stitch hat, but it does have this garter stitch panel. And I think when it is finished, it will look really nice. I forgot to tell you, I believe I did the baby surprise jacket on size 7 needles. And I used my Knit Picks my Harmony needles, and I have not used those in a long time, and I really, really enjoyed using those again. The yarn with the needles was a good combination. I guess because the needles are not as sharp, it didn't split the yarn as much, so that was great. I am doing this. I did the ribbing on size 6 needles, and I'm doing I didn't swatch. And I'm doing the body of the hat on size 8. It's a little more, the gauge is a little bigger than what I like to do, but I'm not going to go ahead and change it. I probably should have done it maybe on a 7 or a 6. I think I've mentioned before that size 6 needles are my favorite needles to use for worsted weight yarn. I like the gauge that size 6 gives me on worsted weight yarn. I usually get about 5 stitches per inch on worsted weight yarn. The gauge on here was larger than that, so I just went with what they suggested. So I'm almost done. I have about 3.5 inches. I usually measure with my index finger because I believe it's 3 inches. I'm supposed to go to 4 or 5 inches before I start decreasing for the crown. So I'm enjoying this very much, and I just need to sit down and do it. I've been enjoying watching the Olympics. The figure skating is my favorite, but I've also enjoyed the snowboarding. I didn't think I would, but I am. So if I can stay off of social media, then I think I can sit down and get this done. So hopefully I will get this done tonight. I was planning to record tomorrow so that you all could see the completed project, but with Journey not being here and I wanted her to get in on the recording, it just so happened that an impromptu recording came up, and so this is where I am. So that is what I've been working on. It's been almost 2 weeks since I recorded. I've gotten a little bit of progress. When I first started doing the sweater, I gave myself 13 rows a day because I said after that, then I can work on my project, because I really was enjoying, I was on the sweater knitting kick and I was really enjoying knitting for myself. And so I have worked a little bit on my Mr. Green Jeans project, but then the love of the BSGA took over, and so I've been mostly working on that. But I will show you what I did. I'm working on Mr. Green Jeans, which is a free pattern from Knitty, and I believe it's by Amy Swenson, and I'm not sure which issue of Knitty it is. I apologize for that. I wanted to be more prepared this episode than I was last episode. I can tell you I'm knitting it out of Valley Yarns, their Green Witch yarn, which is 100% wool. And I thought this was superwash, but I don't think it is. And it's in the shadow colorway. It looks more brown to me, but the colorway is called shadow. So I have gotten some progress, more progress done since the last time I showed you. I am almost done with the body. I think I'm going to do about, I don't know, a few more inches. I've talked to you before how I like to put my sleeve stitches on smaller circular needles instead of holders. That way I can try it on. So let me see if I can try this on for you, and without messing anything up. I have to add to the front. There are panels, button and buttonhole panels to add to the front. That's why, it's not going to close yet. But let me stand up and show you where it is. So it's here now, which, I'm not sure how much it's going to block and stretch. But I think that I don't want it too much. Oh, excuse me. I don't want it too much longer than this. So I think, I'm going to do maybe another repeat or two, which is another 4 or 6 rows, and go ahead and bind off and start doing the sleeves. And then I will add another 6 inches because there's about 3 inches on each of the buttonholes. And it just has a 1 button closure. So it will close modestly when I get done with it. And that's where I am, just a little bit at a time. I am surprised that it's where it is on me. So that is the Mr. Green Jeans sweater. And I do have the pattern right here. Let me see if I can. I'm sorry for bending out of frame. Let me see if I can tell you what issue of Knitty it's in. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I print out the least amount that I possibly can. So I don't have what issue it's in. But that is all that I'm knitting. That's what's in my hands. I didn't even call out the name of the segments. There's nothing out of my hands right now. Well, the BSJ was out of my hands. I'm sorry, just still getting back into the groove. I think that's all I have to share with you right now. Work is going well. I will incorporate the ASL segments back in. I think that's something that a lot of you all have appreciated, and you've let me know, and I thank you for that. There is a chance that we will be getting a new student in our school either at the end of this year or next year. He's being adopted, and he is around 6 years old, and he's deaf, but no one has taught him to sign, or he has not formally learned to sign until the past couple of years. So he has not been able to communicate with people and people haven't been communicating with him, his home life and different things like that. So he's new to ASL, but I will be working with him and signing to him in the classroom and helping him to be able to be mainstreamed into our little school. So we'll learn more about that later on and see whether or not he will be a part of our school. Other than that, I am just very excited about attending the Knitting Pipeline retreat. I am looking forward to the getaway. I'm looking forward to the knitters. I'm looking forward to the friendship and the camaraderie. And I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. You can contact me. My email address is knittingmother@gmail.com. You can also leave a comment here on YouTube. I am going to work. Megan from Stockinette Zombies put up a tutorial about how to get your feed to feed over to iTunes, since Blip is not feeding our podcast feed to iTunes anymore, and I am so not tech savvy at all. But I want to sit down and see if I can do that, because I personally watch all of my, mostly all of my podcasts through Downcast. I really like to watch it through Downcast. And I appreciate the podcasters that have made the effort to put it through Downcast. But I understand those who can't. And so the YouTube works well enough as far as getting notifications from emails every time a new podcast is posted. But sometimes it's easier for me to watch through Downcast than to watch on YouTube. I don't know. It's just my preference. So I would like to make that available to you all. But to those of you who have continued to follow me anyway over here on YouTube and through the Ravelry group, I appreciate it so much. So thank you for watching and take care.